Alrighty, my boy. You ready?
Yeah, well, let me hit this one more time.
Hit that shit, cuz. Mm. Alright, fellas. Welcome back to another episode of the SlattCast, the number one podcast where we encourage self love all the time. I am your host, Matt Mancall. You guys could also call me Slat Aces. And today, we are accompanied by.
Jeremy Domingo. Chef Jeremy on Instagram. Underscore Chef Jeremy, but you get it.
My guy. How's everything, bro? How you been?
Honestly, man, it's just, I know it's a little cliche, but I've just been working, trying to keep busy. That's how I spend my time, get my little cardio in for the day. Try to work as much as I can.
Mm. Oh yeah, cardio endurance very important in life. I forgot to mention this. I wanted to say it at first, but thank you for coming on. It really means a lot.
Honestly, I've been trying to plan it for a while. I've saw quite a bit of, informational people on here. So, just wanted to give my piece on some things.
Hey, much love. Thank you for the support, brother. Is this the first podcast you've hopped on?
Yeah, it's the first one. I've talked to other people, our coworker Michael about his, but nothing really panned out just because we didn't go into much discussion about it.
Right. Hey, man, but we're here. Um, yeah, and honestly, we're gonna have a very interesting talk today. I got a couple topics, you know, but all in all, we're just gonna go with the flow. Me and Jeremy, we kind of we go quite a bit back. We have, we've been homies for a minute. Um, man, do you want to get a little juicy with our past, or
I mean, we can let the people know if you feel comfortable enough.
I'm okay. I'm an open book.
Yeah,
I feel good about talking about whatever, as long as you're comfortable with it, though.
let's rock.
We rocking. Okay, so me and Jeremy, we've had like quite a bit of a past, a little bit of ups and a little bit of downs, but all in all, as you can see, we're both here. So
We made it.
we made it, yeah. You know what I mean? So it just shows that we're 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 two types of people that don't really hold no resentments. You know what I mean? Like when I mean downs, like it was low key down.
Oh, it was. It was. There were a lot of down moments. I mean, probably we can touch into it if you want, but I won't speak too much about it. But it was just, the situations at work and seeing everyone every day. It was tough.
Yeah.
Just because getting adjusted to the situation that happened and I guess you can say the respect I lost
Right.
from everybody. So that kind of hurt a little bit. But then, always learning from your mistakes. And one thing I've also learned is, when you grow up, you got to go through things. As whether it's breakups, tough situations with friends, everything.
Honestly, definitely. Life is like a roller coaster itself. You go up and you come right back down.
And it can happen in an instant. And that's the thing some people don't notice. And when it happens, it happens. And you have to sit there and think about, what happened.
You just got to think, yeah, you know what I mean, whether it's good or bad. But I mean, I find a lot of respect in, like, how we both handled it. To be honest, I kind of don't want to go too deep. If you guys want to drop in the comments, maybe I'll reply to your comment, like, if you have any questions about what happened between us. But I like to leave shit in the past. I don't like to resent too much. And, I like whenever there's like some sorts of beef, I like squashing it,
Yeah.
you know?
And it feels good when it happens because, this what I'm going to say next just kind of relays to a lot of the current situations that we've been around or are in the middle of. It's no matter how you think things are going to go and how things are, if you have or had, a close enough relationship to the other person you're beefing with, it's, no matter how it goes, you have to speak to the other person.
Yeah, of course.
You have to let them know how you feel, and then you have to reciprocate the energy, because once you let that out, it, both sides, whether it's going to be good, bad, and people end up angry at each other, it happened. And you can't speak on things, or you can't think about things in a bad way because you're not willing to talk about it.
Right. And especially if you like, the group, or like whether it's just two people or more, like if you guys have been close for so long, like you guys shouldn't be afraid to, in a sense, like squash it. You guys should be able to talk to each other, especially if you're like your brothers or like really close homies, or like, it could be family, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And even if it's not family, it's people you treat like family. People you've had over multiple times. People that, in my personal experience, have given me a place to stay.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's heartwarming, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to see those situations happen. And it's like, at first, all these people gave you all these things, and we did it together.
Right.
And it should be looked at as a unit. But when the unit is split apart, it's not as strong as it used to be, just because there's bickering, arguing, things like that going on.
Yeah, of course. It's almost like a vase that shattered on the floor. Like you could pick it back up and glue it together, but it's not gonna be fully fully pieced. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
um, I wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier. Treating like really close homies like fam. Like, do you have a lot of people like that in your life, or is there like instances where you got so close to people where you consider them family?
For me, there was a couple people that, throughout high school I started playing football with, and, that basically, obviously became best friends, and we kept in touch. I mean, we still keep in touch to this day. And there's only been a couple people like that. Um, Honestly, it kind of changed a little bit just because a couple years ago, I started working in Concord, and I spent my time around a lot more people, but which isn't necessarily a bad thing,
Yeah.
because I still kept in touch with those friends. But I met people like you,
Mm-hmm.
like people like Derek, Mark, and just all those people, Ramel. Well, I knew him before
Of
we
course.
started, but it's just that the simple fact that everyone was able to come together, no matter what, if I'm associated with everyone or not. Just the fact that everyone, even from SAC, that people that didn't know Ramel like less than a year ago,
Yeah.
are basically really good friends with him now.
Right.
And
Ramel's a
it's
really cool
just,
guy,
he
man.
is, and
Shout
it's
out
just
to you,
good.
Ramel.
Shout out to him. And it's just good to see, just the way people can connect, and through little things like basketball or raving,
Oh,
obviously.
facts. Yeah, it's almost inevitable. Like once you're like in a certain like field or area, like especially like a job space, like you're working around these people that you see on a daily basis, it's almost inevitable to make friends. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a nice guy yourself, and you just know how to talk to people. It's like it's almost inevitable for you guys to become friends, and then once that friendship grows, like that's in a sense where you would consider them family.
Exactly. And, a perfect example would probably be the Slat chat that we had, when we all first started. We were constantly going bowling, going to Lucky Chances, just any little things we could do, swimming.
Mm.
We went to the beach, with
Right.
Jeff and everybody, and that was just such a good experience, because it's like, no, everyone's different ages, but we all went for the same thing, which was to have fun, kick it
Mm.
with our friends and things like that.
We had a lot of fun during that era.
We really did, and we did some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, that just makes me think like that makes me think like throughout high school and even now, like there's so many group chats that are made that low-key just fall off. Would
Honestly,
you say that's like because like just other people have things going on in their life, or do you think it's a certain thing, like certain people that probably make it like go the opposite way?
I think that
Because I see it
I
happen.
think certain situations that we can't control play a big factor in our outside life, outside of, just like you said, like in high school, right? There's a lot of group chats that are created like maybe for football or oh, let's go practice or something like that, or we can come study this day or that day.
Right.
um I think that, like kind of just like I said earlier, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We here.
How am I gonna say this?
Like your group chats and pretty much like how they end up falling off, or do you have those certain group chats that just stay alive and you've had for so long?
So personally, for me, I can say I have a group chat that has stayed alive through, not to this day, obviously, because people get new numbers and all that. But
Yeah.
basically, with my two best friends from high school, because we all had Hondas in high school.
Oh, that's
So we
lit.
had a group chat called the Honda Boys, like,
The Honda Boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
that was
still
just our
alive.
main one. It's not labeled Honda Boys anymore.
Okay.
But, it was just what we named it,
Yeah.
randomly through high school. And, personally, I feel like you're kind of right when you say group chats do fall off because
Mhm.
I mean we did have another one where there was a fourth person in our group, and just when I say there are situations we can't control, was throughout high school we were partying, unfortunately, to admit, but
Mhm.
we're also doing homework together, playing football together, so we were always basically keeping each other in check, making sure we had grades on that, making sure we got to the games, and we're hyping each other up, this and that. And it was kind of when the season ended, we still kept in touch with that fourth friend. He was still in the group. We went to prom together, all that. But kind of the second he graduated and went started going to college, he started kind of, I guess, tapping in with some family he had in before, and
Mhm.
led to some situations that he couldn't control, you know him moving to Texas and just making a lot of questionable decisions.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I love him to this day, but it just goes to show, like, sometimes what we go through outside of work, school, our relationships, sometimes it's too hard to bear.
It's too hard to bear, and again, like you said, it's out of our control. We can't stop things from happening. Life goes on.
Definitely does. And we have to roll with the punches. As I tell a lot of people at work, I bringing it up a lot, but I tell a lot of people, if one thing is if you're at work, you come to work.
Mhm.
If you're working and you don't want to be there, then leave.
Yeah.
If you don't feel, if you feel sick or something outside is bothering you, you can't come to work and bring that energy to people, because some people wouldn't reciprocate the same way
Oh
or
yeah.
feel sympathetic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's bringing your outside
Feelings to
life
work.
to work and messing with your money. I'm not saying anyone depends on the job, but some people might,
Mm.
and when you bring certain problems into that situation, it'll be hard to maintain focus.
Yeah, yeah. I always say that energy is contagious, So if you bring like whatever you got going on in your outside life to work, oh, that's tough.
Damn.
Give me 1 second, y'all. But anyways, like I was saying, like yeah, energy is contagious. So if you bring if you bring your outside, like for instance, if you're going through something negative, outside of work, you bring it into work. Other people will notice. And I'm saying like you said, not everyone will feel sympathetic, but there will be people that do feel
Yeah,
sympathetic.
100%.
Yeah, and then it'll just carry on to them, and it'll almost get like that person worried about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because there's a lot of sympathetic people out there. I would personally consider myself sympathetic. If I'm close to you in any like way, shape, or form, and I see that you're having a bad day, I'll most likely go to you to try to cheer you up in any way I
Oh
can.
no, 100%. I'm the same person, or to an extent. It's obviously I don't want anyone feeling sad,
Yeah.
because and that's why I kind of bring it up is, your energy most of the time can be, how do I want to say it, like, it radiates to people.
Radiation.
So
Yep.
when you're sad, it's we want to feel sad for you, but at the same time, this let's step to the side if we have to. We can't continue to try to work through things that may be too difficult.
Mhm.
And it's if you need a break, for me personally, if I see someone at the work, anywhere, it's I'm always going up to the person saying, do you need a break? I mean, hey, if you want to go home, I can cover for you, anything like that. Just try
Right.
to make someone's day feel a little better.
Mm. So in a sense, if you're going through some stuff like outside of work and you go to work like with that all up in your mind, do you try your best not to show it, or would you feel better to vent it out to someone, or like how would you go about it?
Personally, the way I went about my feelings at work, the probably in the worst ways possible. From punching the ice machine,
I mean, it'd be like that.
breaking the light. Just personally, I like to say that I tried to get fired, which is a bad thing. I didn't try to get fired, but it was just just the way I was feeling, from feeling like I didn't get enough help, or
Mhm.
just missing my family a lot, to just a lot of personal things, like just like we're talking about, letting it affect me at work. It even one time led to me walking out of my tables,
Yeah.
which I mean I don't feel proud of, but it was just in that instant I felt like I had to before something worse happened.
Yeah, and stuff like that, it's bound to happen at Gen. It's a hard, fast-paced job. So, yeah, I'll admit to it. Also, there's times where I get super mad at the job. Like, I wouldn't say I have full anger issues, but like it gets to a point where like I gotta let some frustration out, and like I'll start, maybe like hitting stuff. Also, I don't care about admitting that. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
Jeremy. That one time where you broke the light, that day was crazy, bro.
It was
'Cause
crazy,
do you want to
and
tell them what happened? Like that part was pretty like crazy. There was like a table right there too.
there was a table there. I just felt like we were getting unfairly sat. For as even though we did, personally, I talked a lot of shit, um, about me and Matt. Usually, kind of doing the, most work, or not doing the most work, but just kind of. I like to say having the most fun, just
Mhm.
because we made the amount of money we made while smiling, laughing with people, while also being on top of our job.
Of
I
course.
mean, there were times we would slack and get yelled at a little bit, but at the same time, that's how the way Mia and Matt worked. It it felt effortless.
Mm.
Just kind of like we've been there forever. That first year I started working, at Jens.
Yeah, there was a time where you put in the group chat we were like a Naruto and Sasuke duo.
I even I put a picture of our faces on fucking D Wade and
Oh yeah,
LeBron.
that one too.
Yeah, just
Hey.
certain things like that. It's for me, you know, in any situation, even at work, I try to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Just because like touching on things earlier, when you bring a good energy, it makes you want to do things better, or it makes
Oh, of
you want to
course.
succeed. And it's just when you're making money with your boys, and I mean, it can't get any better than that.
Yeah. No, most definitely. And going on from there, that's why whether I'm in a mood or not, like I'll always try my best to keep a smile on my face, cuz you
Hmm.
never know, that smile on your face, someone will notice it, and who knows, bro, it'll make their day. It'll make them want to smile too. They're probably going to question it like, why is that guy cheesing so hard? And it'll make
Yeah.
them want to cheese, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So good energy is definitely good to be around. When
Most
once you're
definitely.
around good energy, it makes you want to, think good, think
Hmm.
positive. And then there's people that are really negative, like
Yeah.
of course everyone's going to come across those people, and like you don't want to like bash on them, but at the same time you don't want to, yeah, you just don't want to judge them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I come across those people, I try my best to like
Yeah.
kind of tell them to be optimistic, and you know, maybe the way you're thinking right now isn't the worst way to think, or isn't
Exactly.
the best way to think, you know.
And one thing, probably one of the last things I'm gonna touch on about Jen is that, one of our old coworkers, her name was Vanessa. One of the last things she told me before she left was, don't let this place change you.
Mm.
And that's just because she was also in that group we had with the Slat chat, this and that,
Yeah.
and our group of friends, we were around each other most of the time, and it was just me going through punching the ice machine, breaking that light, just kind of showing my anger in the wrong ways at the job. It just her, along with a few other people that worked with us and kind of hung out with us, would tell me, hey, you look and seem like a completely different person outside of work. And for me, I didn't understand that for a long time, because I like to bring the same energy wherever I go,
Of course.
if I can. Like
Yeah.
I'm a be. I
Like
talk my
you'll be the
shit.
same on social media.
Yeah,
You'll be the same in person. You'll be the same
I
at the
try to be as
workplace.
much as I can.
Of
But
course.
there was a time, I think it was after the time I walked out, and it just made me realize, like, I expect too much of myself from this place.
Right.
And that was due to the fact that, my younger brothers got me the job, and, and they've been doing it for so long. My thought process was coming in, um, I can't be weak, just
Yeah.
because, they
You
know
gotta be
me,
tough.
they know my brothers, and they know how they work. So I have to bring, just
You gotta bring the heat.
bring the heat, bring as
With
much energy as they did, just because with them, like you, along with some of the other older staff, it just, the way you guys do things at work, it just, like I said, it makes it look effortless, and then we walk out at the end of the night with an amount of money that we're pretty happy with.
Yeah, definitely. Would you say the reputation of your younger siblings? Would you say that kind of did that put a little pressure on you coming into the job? Like, did it make you seem like you had to work at a specific like standard for management and just being there in general? Or were you just fine however you were?
It played a big part at the beginning.
Okay.
At the beginning, because it, like, kind of like we touched on a little bit earlier, you guys making a good amount of money every night, and me bringing my name into the mix. It's it's another Domingo kid.
Yeah.
It's you know we'll see how he does. They do what they can do. Let's see what he can do. And it was a lot of pressure. My younger brother Josh wasn't working with us as much at first, but he's the one that talked to our old GM and was like, go ahead and throw him in the fire, because I was working at the Jen in Torrance,
Yeah.
and I was a busser there, so they basically were like, oh, he has a little bit of experience, go ahead. And it was crazy at first, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Just as a
Learning
busser too, right?
just as a busser, and then having come to Concord and finding out, hey, we really don't have the need for bussers at the moment, but we need, if you can serve, you can, but we need servers and runners.
I see.
And it was nerve wracking, just doing, learning how to double tray, or
Yeah,
having to
right.
carry more than fucking like 3 or 4 drinks on a,
Of course.
on a drink tray. It was crazy.
Yeah. So be honest, did you expect to be a server at all, or would you have been content with being a busser the whole time? Or you knew eventually you wanted to be a server because your younger brothers.
I wanted to be a server to see what it was like, because
Okay.
from multiple people, just the way some people were living, and a lot of people were like, hey, I'm working down at Jen's, or BJ's, or even some other restaurant, Johnny Rockets, things like
Yeah.
that. It's getting to work for your own money it can mean a lot of things.
Oh yeah, definitely. As a
So
server, you're working for your own money,
exactly, or
definitely.
even as not even as a server, but even in general, like working at a convenience store,
Mm.
at let's say like a T-Mobile or even a Verizon, you have to meet a certain quota to get your benefits,
Right.
or not even get your benefits, but
Just to solidify your position.
yeah, sell a certain amount of phones and get a prize for it, get employee of the month, things like that. It's
Do you believe rewards like that is like a good thing, or do you believe it's like whatever? Like imagine
I think it
imagine
could
that our
be.
job we got like employee of the month, employee of the year.
So I know from experience, because my brother was, he was a big factor in AT&T a few years ago. Being able to sell the most in his region. Um,
Oh, he was like that.
he was like that.
Okay,
They flew him
Josh.
out. No, it was actually my older brother,
Oh,
Jaime. Yeah,
okay.
they flew him out to Texas for free, all that, and
Wow.
I honestly, he said he didn't tell me personally, but from what it looked like, it was more of an ego thing, just
On
because
his part.
no, not on his part, but the whole idea of it.
Oh, so it's an ego booster.
Yeah, like, hey, we're recognizing this person because they sold the most phones and they've done the most to contribute to the AT&T family,
In a sense,
things
it
like
gets
that.
them. It gets them to work more
Yeah,
harder.
and just from my older brother just being in that kind of business for a while, it kind of just was. It didn't really matter to him, because he's done things that he's proud of, and just because like being, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be recognized
Of
by like the
course.
region, because that's a big thing, you know but
You always got to show
it's
appreciation
it
where
a lot
appreciation
of
due.
things like that. It's kind of like, what does it do for you? Because now he doesn't work there anymore. I mean, we still have our phones through AT&T and all that, but it's just like, it's like we said, it's an ego booster, because once you leave, it's they don't really keep in touch. Like, he doesn't talk to anyone from there anymore.
Mm.
Things like that.
Yeah, like real life just moves on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're recognized at this point for this certain time period, but once you leave, it's like that reward was never there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I respect it at the end of the day. I just like I said before, I believe appreciation should be, um, or people should be appreciated for their work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they put in hard work. Most people probably wouldn't really like expect it. Like if you're a hard worker yourself, you should know. If you work hard yourself, you shouldn't really expect appreciation. You shouldn't really expect people to notice. But when people do notice, it's almost heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where it'd be a little like or it'd be like an ego booster.
Cool. So now that we touched on that a little bit, I had a question in my notes that kind of relates to this topic. So how far should trust grow in a relationship?
Depends. Are you
And
talking
this
about
and
friendship
then, I
relationships
mean, it can
or?
really, and that's the thing, it touches on a whole like broad amount of topics, like in friendships, relationships, relationships we have at work, as far as vendors go, or maybe connections to forex, connections to real estate, things like that.
Mm,
Like, how far should one go to make sure it's, I guess we can touch on relationships and friendships, since that's kind of what we've been talking about for a lot of this podcast.
of course.
So how far should they go, or be able to go?
So for me, I feel like it really depends on the person, like on you. So me personally, I put my trust in a lot of people and it's almost right off bat. Like if I have a good first impression on you, I'll put a lot of trust into you, which is most likely a bad thing cuz there are times where I put my trust in people and things just went south, like in an instant and you just I really just did not expect it. But I personally put my trust in a lot of people like, right off tops. But it's just on you. Like you gotta just wait and see. If they end up stabbing your back, then that you just gotta realize that that's the way that life goes.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
But I don't know. That is a very broad question because I feel like most people, to put your full trust in someone, you got to know them for a certain amount of time. You
Hmm.
know, like couple years even to like put their full trust. You know what I mean? Because there's people like family, like blood family, like moms, dads. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? They're people that you could trust with your life, unless
Hmm.
some bad toxic shit happened between y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those are people you could trust with your life. You know,
Most definitely.
to say a friend or a significant other, to trust them with your life, that could, that could be a little harder. You know.
That's it's because you have to make a lot of tough decisions that
Yes.
you even have to trust someone else to make for you sometimes, which you might not like.
Hmm. So I'd say, like, yeah, you could trust them in being a friend, trust them as being a significant other, trust them as being, just your partner, you know what I mean? But to trust them with stuff like your life or your your objects, your materialistic items, it's really different. There's different ways to think about it. Like, there's people like, I'll trust driving my car, you know,
Exactly.
but I probably wouldn't trust them, you know, as a friend. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No. For sure.
So
For
it's like
sure.
it's different. But damn, that was a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel like?
So as far as friendships go, I there are a lot of examples for me personally. I feel if you trust someone enough, for example, like you started letting me sleep over your house, and I also, growing up, from starting from about sixth grade up until basically high school, there was me and there's three other guys that we played basketball together, AAU, church ball, Asian league ball, and we were kind of some a tight knit group. And basically whenever we're together, every weekend for Asian league there was a function or social they would call it, just for a more appropriate word,
Mm-hmm.
where every weekend, every tournament there was a party that Saturday night.
Right.
And we were the kind of guys to where we were the first people there, trying to talk to every girl in the room, dance with them, as far as do whatever. And that's how much we trusted each other, because if one person failed, we're like, hey man, there's this girl over here. Or if someone had a problem, if we bumped into somebody that maybe we played and they didn't like how the game went, we always had each other's backs, as far as if this person said something, we were on go. Even
Okay.
if everyone wasn't there, as long as there was us four there, it would be good enough,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's like a mutual connection. You
Yeah.
know. Um. One. You know. I wanted to ask this because now that we're on the topic of trust, and like I was saying earlier, how I trust people right off bat, and my trust runs deep. Like if I trust you, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but like this is just an example of one way I trusted someone off bat, and I wanna know your opinion. Like if I'm tripping for this, you guys too. If you're watching this and listening to this, I want you guys to know, like, am I wild for this? So this is the story. I was in a car, right? I was driving. I was with my boy
Francis.
Mark. Yeah. I was with my boy Mark, and I think we just finished a workout, I believe, and then we went to our local Jack in the Box, and right out the drive-through, we always just park, in the parking lot, right in front of the Jack in the Box, and we just eat. And there's a homeless guy that came up to the car, and I believe he was just asking for money, and then eventually, he ended up. I believe we gave him money. I'm not too sure. It was a while ago, but he eventually asked for a ride
Mm.
to whatever location he wanted to go. But hit the location or the destination he wanted to go to, it was on the way to my house, like my home at the time in
Mm-hmm.
Bay Point. So for me, like, I probably would have said no if it was out the way, realistically. Most people would say no because it's a homeless person, right? And
Yeah.
this is where the question is, like, am I tripping? But for me, once I heard, like, okay, his destination is on the way to my home,
Mm-hmm.
and my trust runs like low key deep. So it's like I trust this guy to a point where, all right, you know what? I'll take him home. And I ended up taking him home. We were on a phone call. Mark was on a call with his girl, and I believe I was on a call with my ex. And yeah, basically the whole time, like, yeah, Mark was just like, I don't want to, like, okay, Mark, yeah, you're lucky. Like, everyone was bugging besides me, bro. Everyone was bugging. Like, I can't believe you just picked up a freaking homeless person, blah blah blah. But in reality, I was like, we're fine. You know what I mean? Like, if he does do something, we're you know capable enough to defend ourselves. But at the same time, like, I trust him enough for him not to do anything. And at the end of the night, he didn't do anything. So what's your opinion on that? Do you feel like I was tripping?
For picking up the homeless guy?
Yeah.
Um.
And I'm not gonna judge any answer you say.
All right. So, was he gonna be in your car for a certain amount of time? Like, how far were you guys when you picked him up?
It was from like Antioch to Bay Point.
Antioch to Bay Point.
5-10 minute drive max.
10-minute drive. I mean, no. I think it would have been more of a problem if we're taking him as far as 30 minutes or more.
Okay.
Because maybe then it's like, all right, what is this what is this guy doing in the car for that long? Like, what is he plotting? Like,
okay.
Like, what if he takes us to a destination like, oh, we don't like.
Okay. That's your true answer.
But at the same time, personally, I mean,
you wouldn't do it.
I don't know if I would do it, but I would go as far as at least giving the guy some money and food.
Okay.
That's for me.
Yeah,
that's
at the most.
That's the most I do whenever I see a homeless person or someone in need on the side of the road.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not.
You can say I'm tripping. Don't worry, everyone else did.
I don't. It's something that doesn't happen.
I know it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen normally,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I could see why people would say you're tripping because they've never done or thought about doing it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then, I mean.
And would you say it also just kind of shows the type of person I am? Like, knowing me personally, like, you knowing me.
Most definitely, yeah.
It's something I would do.
Because it's like, we talk to random people at raves, hey, take our picture or take a picture with us. And, when you do the candy exchange thing, it's not the same situation. But it's, when you meet a stranger and you're, doing the whole finger locking and,
yeah.
Switching the bracelets, that's, you don't know where that person's been or what they've been touching or
that's
anything
facts.
like that. But it's, you have enough trust to, we're exchanging things mutually.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see any problem with it. It's a little crazy, but I don't see any problem with it.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to touch on that, see how you felt.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna be honest, I would do that again any other day. Like, if I have the capability of helping someone in need of help, I'm gonna help out. Realistically, like, everyone's human. That homeless person had a home at once. He just maybe fucked up in life, and then that's where he is. Yeah, he may be a little dirty because he's been on the streets, but you know what I mean. Like, everything in this world is dirty. There's germs everywhere we are.
You see dirty people at work, on the street, when we walk our dogs every day, there's people that look dirty. It's like, ugh.
It's a little unattractive.
Yeah,
but
it is sometimes. I mean, I'm not gonna. I probably look like that sometimes, but most of the time I'm leaving work, so I have an excuse.
Nah, at the job, bro. Yeah, we be going home. We be in a whole restaurant, like a small restaurant, filled with straight smoke and just hella Korean barbecue. So
that we can't eat.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, that's just, like, I hope that shows you guys what, like, the type of person I am. I like helping people in need, and I like, I'm not really too scary in those situations. I'm not really a germaphobe like that. Nowadays, people should be more cautious with that stuff because of, the stuff going around there, monkeypox. Yeah, so maybe now I'll be more aware of that. But if times were as simple as back then where none of that was a thing, yeah, I'll do that any time of the week, realistically.
So your take on relationships then? Just move on to the next one straight up. How far, I guess trust in general in a relationship, like, what are your, I guess you can say, parameters?
My parameters?
Yeah.
Okay, so I touched on this, I believe, in the last podcast. I forgot what we talked about, but Um, definitely. Oh, okay, this is crazy how we were talking about trust and my trust for everyone, but when it comes to me finding my significant other, yeah, with my last relationships, it's kind of hard to trust another one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not more so the trust side, but it's like my own trust for myself to be in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Like the however much you're willing to let yourself go for this other person.
Yes, like the amount of energy I put into that relationship, and like you know, if I know like to myself, this is my brand. I live and breathe it. Self love all the time. Self love. But if I have enough self love to the point where I can love myself no matter what happens in that relationship, I'd say hell yeah, I'll get in that relationship. I'd say I'm personally ready for a relationship, but at the same time, I'm not trying to rush it. I'm not personally looking. I'm not like spitting
Exactly.
game at every pretty girl I see.
Mm-hmm.
I actually avoid them. It sounds weird. Um, y'all could think whatever of me, but I be avoiding girls. It's for my own good. I believe it's for my own good. But
Yeah.
some people probably think I'm weird for it, but who cares
Nah,
what other
not
people
even.
think?
Yeah, bro.
But I'd say like just like having hoes, having bitches, like that's overrated, you know?
It was the thing to do in the past.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's why I'll admit that I'd say when I was 19, I would definitely go to clubs, I would go to like raves, I'd go to bars, low key just looking for a good time, fun time. But after being in like committed relationships, it makes you realize that that's what I really want. That's what most people would really want, which is love. They want to find someone that actually supports them in every single way um, possible. And I wanted to ask you this: do you believe that making love and fucking are two different things, or are they the same?
Hmm.
Excuse my language.
That's a touchy one. I can say they can be intertwined,
Okay.
but they most definitely can be considered two different things because
Hmm.
you can you can fuck anything you want and
Yeah.
not feel anything. I mean, obviously, but I mean, when you're making love is different just because it's now that can be
'Cause
split into a few different terms because there's difference between making out, kissing.
making love, as in just sexual intercourse with someone you love. That
Mm.
was more so my uh how I
Oh,
how I think about it.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
So
making love and then having sex. Cause
it can be
I
no, it could be different. It can be
yeah,
different for sure.
100%. I believe it's different. Um, I am more so on the side of making love. Making love with someone is a whole different feeling than just having sex with someone, like
Hmm.
just fucking. You know what
It's
I
the
mean?
difference between a relationship and a hookup, like
Yeah.
a one
No.
night stand kind of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get at. It's like I've had multiple times where I was making love. I was like, I felt good, about everything. I was genuinely happy, right? After those relationships ended, I wouldn't say most relationships end like that, but like, some relationships that do end, most people go for rebounds, right?
Hmm.
Those rebounds, like, they're just no feelings are involved, and it's like it's dry. I had a significant other, and every time we made love, it felt great. After we broke up, I would just randomly hook up with a girl, and we would have sex, and damn, it's just dry as fuck. Like
Yeah,
I'll be
honestly,
done. Like
yeah,
I kind of
bro.
just want them to leave after we're done. So it's like I believe sex is overrated and making love is definitely the wave. But that's where I stand. It's like, damn, I'm avoiding having a girlfriend at the moment. So it's gonna be a while for me to make love again.
Hmm.
I could definitely have sex whenever I want. I'm capable of that. But I just feel like that aspect is very overrated.
It is, and personally, I guess you can say I can speak from experience because I have been in relationships, maybe not too many that counted, I should say, you
Mm.
know, because obviously, I mean, middle school is middle school. Um, there was one relationship that pretty much lasted me kind of at least throughout high school. It wasn't consistent, but you know, it was within a 4 to 6 year span where I met this girl, and it was perfect because you know we played for the same organization, we saw each other every weekend, so it was just a matter of getting able to be. We're gonna see each other in San Jose, LA, you know, somewhere, you know, we were gonna see each other, um, and it was it was so funny because throughout I guess like the first year and then throughout the second year, you know, there was a lot of situations and a lot of times where she would basically be like, hey, you know, I feel like you're just treating me as a booty call. And I'm
Man.
not gonna lie, it's like, you know, in high school, you know, it's just like you kind of don't give a fuck about none of that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry in case you watch this. I don't mean it like that, but it's just like, you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
when you're in high school and things are going, you're hooping good, you're
Yeah.
playing football,
You're
things are going
young.
well. It's like you feel like, you know, you feel like a dog, like,
Mm.
you know, nothing can really touch you. And then, but as you know, going back to it is, it kind of, in a sense, it was just because you know when you're young and you experience something like that, it's sometimes you see it one way or not. You see it one way or not at all.
Mm.
You know, it's kind of sometimes when you're too deep in a situation, you become one track minded. And for me, it was just like, man, this is what a relationship is like.
Right.
You know, just we don't have to talk, we don't have to do anything. It's just straight, you know, straight to the action. And that relationship, it taught me a lot. You
Mm.
know, um, one of the reasons, obviously, when we first broke up was because I was talking to one of her friends and she went to school with, and then you know that ended up not working out,
I see.
and it took a while.
So would you
We
say when you were, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but would you say when you were in high school and you like and you did end up dating that girl, did you expect to date her or did you
the friend or the one the first
both of them
the
if
first
anything, like
the
the
first
first
one
one?
the first one I expected just because she was the type to where, you know, I saw her, bro, and it was just that kind of thing where it was like I had to have her,
Okay.
you know, type
And
of
you
shit
wanted to
that
lock her down and everything.
I did. And
You
you know
did.
the craziest thing I did was the next morning her team was at the pool in the morning, and you know that was one of the tournaments for mine. It was actually wasn't me, you know, we were a winning team, but you know my brother's team had to wake up early because you know, depending on how you do on Saturdays, you know, if you win then lose or lose then win, it depicts what time you play on Sunday.
Okay.
And we saw him at the pool, and I was just like, hey, I saw her teammate that I was actually pretty close friends with. Her name is Becky. I was like, you know, you got to put me on
Yeah.
straight up. And then she did. And, you know, it just, after that, it was, you know,
It's
it was
history.
up and at 'em, yeah.
Mm.
You know, it was one of the craziest stories, bro. I'm not going to get too much into it, but
All good.
long story short, I got kicked out of was it, is that Mervin's at Concord? The one that used to be next to, no, it was first it started in Sports Authority.
Oh yeah.
And
Sports
then
Authority.
basically what's that clothing store next to Round 1 right now?
Sports Authority? No, no, no.
Or Round, we know, so it's Round 1 where Johnny Rockets is, and then there's that clothing store right there on the one end of the
Oh yeah,
mall.
yeah, yeah. Nordstrom, is it?
Not Nordstrom. It's some like a Kohl's kind of store or something like that. But whatever store that is, bro, we ended up in that parking lot, and
Okay.
then after that, you
I think it might
know,
be J.C. Penney.
JC Penney.
Yeah,
Yep, it was
J.C. Penney.
JC Penney.
Okay.
So we went to the JC Penney parking lot, you know, did the thing, and then we tried to walk back in the mall after that.
Yeah.
And then all you see behind us is just like, you know, the mall security guy's like, hey, like you guys got to leave for the day.
Yeah, really?
You know, because you're doing some a little bit unacceptable things, and if, you know, if you don't want any other consequences, you just have to leave right now.
Speaking of J.C. Penney security, you know Mark worked as J.C. Penney security. What if it was him? It
That would have
wasn't.
been so. It definitely wasn't
Oh, it
because
definitely wasn't.
this was a while ago.
Okay, okay.
A while ago. If this happened, honestly,
Like
If it
what?
happened recently,
How crazy would that be? Like if it was Mark
if it
and
was
like that's
Mark,
before you knew him. You know, what a small world. Stuff like
you
that can
probably would
happen.
have seen my brother and been like, "Hey, bro, I have to kick your brother out of the mall today." You
Yeah.
know, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, bro. So I mean, I guess getting back to a serious note, it was like that, and it was one of the most meaningful relationships, just because we kind of kept in touch throughout. Our whole, arguments and us breaking up, getting back together again. Like I was still watching her games and all that, like her playing in high school. She's only a year younger than me, by the way. So
Mm.
it's just like, me after I'm finishing class or football practice, I'm going, to the game, driving to the game. And yeah, that it taught me a lot about a
Mm.
lot of situations in life.
Oh, I bet. I bet. If you don't mind me asking, how long did you guys date for?
I s- Maybe it's just tough, bro, because it was one of those. So we started talking when I was a freshman. We're not really. It was like kind of so in June. So basically, when I'm gonna be in 10th, she's gonna be in high school type
Okay.
shit. So we were talking for that long, and I guess it's at least 3 years.
I
Because
see.
then after 3 years, it was more on and off. Then so it wasn't really official. But because we would still tap in, go out to eat, things like that.
Mm.
Not much, but we did it a couple times. But we kind of just broke it off because it was, for me, it was a better decision, because no matter how it ended, it was most likely going to end a way that I didn't want it to. So
Right.
I was better with breaking it off then, or just stop trying to contact her in general,
Mm.
just because I
To
don't
save
want
your
to.
own
Yeah,
energy.
save my own energy. I don't, like, I've been through it before, and I'd rather not go through that, because I'm at a phase in my life where that was around 2017.
Mm.
So it was fresh. A lot of things going on with my family and that. But I just didn't need that energy.
No, yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
I mean, it was crazy, because she did come to the restaurant when we were doing, half inside, half outside.
Yeah.
And it was the day I had a party of 100, and she came in to eat an inside, and it was just like, for me, I'm happy, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, of all days,
Yeah, of all
you
days.
gotta come on a day where I'm stressed the fuck out, and then you
Party of
bring,
100. God
and then
damn.
and then she just so happens to bring her boyfriend she's with currently.
Mm.
And she's like,
Did that
yeah,
hit? Did that hit something deep down?
I mean, for me, when we were first broken up, because there was a situation that happened, and I'm like, then I would have been tripping then, but when it happened there, it was just kind of like, it was weird, because she wanted me to meet him,
Yeah, no, that's
talk to
weird.
him,
That is
and it was
weird.
just like, bro, you really want me of all people to come meet this dude, like, Like,
Yeah.
no disrespect, but it's just, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, it would have ended in a little different way she would have expected.
Yeah, no,
So I
that's
was
a
like, let
little
me just
strange.
keep my distance, throw you your soju, whatever, and call it a day. Like, I'm cool with her sister,
Mm.
gave her sister a little hug, and like, hey, how are you? And that was it, just,
Mm.
and,
Yeah, I only call that strange because, like, I don't know. Like, me personally, I wouldn't want my new significant other to meet my ex
yeah,
because I'm pretty sure my
yeah.
ex. It's just like a respect thing, you
So
know? You
let's
gotta
say,
respect
let's say I'm
boundaries.
in his shoes, right? And it's just like, she, he pulls up and she's like, oh, I want you to meet him. So I'm like, okay, well, if you want to meet him, I want you to meet, my ex.
Yeah.
The energy has to stay the same.
It has to be
It has to be. It
reciprocated.
has to be the same. And no matter how it looks, it's like, um, it's you can't be a hypocrite in that kind of way.
Nah, nah, I feel it.
Cause yeah,
And then going a little back, do you believe that relationships are more stronger when the two have been talking prior to them becoming official? Or do you think they could like there's some out there that I mean there definitely are some out there that have been like this, but like they do you think that or do you just overall feel like it's better if you have a talking stage before the relationship? Because I know there's some people that
mm,
jump straight into it, you know, and it bites them in the back sometimes.
it's kind of hard to say just because there's a lot of times where people would use the instance love at first sight.
Mm.
Because,
Get that a
just
lot.
because that exists, that phrase existing, it kind of, sometimes it teaches some people like, hey,
It's possible.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Um, if you really think you trust that person that early on, all power to you. God bless.
Right.
I know, I know a few people that they they rush into a lot of relationships. One person kind of was in many. He would be in a relationship for a year. Try to marry the person and have it not work out, and it happened multiple times. And
Mm.
it's tough because, like I said, with love sometimes coming at first sight, sometimes we're blinded by some of the important things that we can't avoid.
Yeah.
And
Love is a very strong word.
it is. I was just gonna say, you really can't say it. You can't just throw it out there because it's a, like you said, it's a strong word. It means a lot. It
It
has a
means a
lot of
lot.
meaning between it. I mean, if you're saying I love you as a friend, like just basically texting that out to someone, I love you as a friend, coworker, brother, sister, whatever the case, it's you know, you're basically telling that person you have a different kind of respect for them.
Mm.
But when you're trying to tell them you love them as more than a friend, or as a significant other, or whatever you may call it, it's you have to make sure
That you
you're
could
ready.
back it up.
You have to be sure you can back it up. You have to be sure you're ready for the consequences, whether they're good or bad, from after the decision you make of saying that.
Mm.
Because you can say you love somebody and your heart will be pounding, and they can just out of nowhere say, well, I think we should just be friends.
Yeah.
Or maybe they might say,
That would
oh,
hurt.
I love you too, things like that. But exactly, you have to be ready for that kind of thing. And it's just like you can't just throw that word out there like, like as many times as we say hello or hey or hi, or
Mm.
goodbye. Like we can't, it's not something to play with.
No, that's real shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy because I make sure I wait to say I love you. Of course, there's gonna be times where you're probably making love. It's the heat of the moment, so you think you want to say it, but you know damn well you shouldn't, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's possibly like probably too early in that relationship. But there will be times where you say it or your significant other says it first, and then you probably would probably feel bad at the time and just want to say I love you too, just so they wouldn't feel as bad. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of happens too sometimes.
Yeah.
And that would be the worst because you're only saying I love you too to make them feel good, but do you really love them too?
Exactly. And it kind of plays into what we were talking about earlier, as far as how far does trust in a relationship go? It's saying I love you. It's doing certain things, whether it's picking someone up or dropping them off at work, you know, or you know, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay, man.
What was I gonna say?
You said going back to the trust, like, and how far trust goes.
Okay. So I want to use an example, but it's kind of hard to put into words right now because there's a lot that ties into trust and love. Basically having that in the same sentence. Like you can't have one without the other.
Oh, definitely. Damn, that's strong.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I felt that. Holy shit.
Because it's like there are certain situations where sometimes we can't control, whether we're at work, grocery store, at the mall. Like there's always gonna be someone that's gonna be like, hey, you look good today, or you like, how are you doing? You look like you're going somewhere nice.
Mm.
This, like, things like that. It's having the power to, I'm not saying, because you can respond however way you want, but having the power to stay
Loyal
stay
or
loyal,
to the person.
or just having self control. You know,
Mm.
not going too far. Like, hey, thanks, but like either saying thanks and walking away, or thanks and kind of just starting a conversation after that,
Right.
or thanks and like, oh, here's my number. Da,
Because
da, da.
human interaction's inevitable. You
It's
know what I
it's
mean?
it's literally inevitable. And
Yeah.
as far as having trust goes, it's you know, it's there's always gonna be tests every day.
Right.
Whether it's, you know, our significant other going to the club, you know, going I wouldn't trip as far as, you know, my girl going to the gym,
Oh
but it's
yeah,
just
that's self
things
love right
like, you
there,
know,
baby.
like yeah,
Come on, eh?
exactly. Like for me, you know, get money. Like it's I try to make sure, I guess I'm going to speak in more of terms for myself now. It's I try to make sure we both bring something to the table
Mm.
when I look for someone. You know, it's
Oh, dude, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but this is what we talked about on our last podcast. When you find someone that you think you love, you gotta make sure that it's 100-100. Fuck that 50-50 shit, bro. Because if you're both only giving half effort, who knows how long that relationship
because
will last?
if you're not bought in, what's the point of us doing this anyway?
Yes,
Yeah.
right. It's the like you said, you gotta reciprocate the same energy.
And it's like, and then sometimes it doesn't even have to be, and that's why I try to say it doesn't even have to be someone for someone you love. It's someone you're trying to get to know. Um, you know, it's a tough topic. You know,
It is. It's very
it's
tough.
because sometimes, like when I say bring something to the table, right, it doesn't necessarily mean, because for me, you know, you can be pretty, you can have a nice body, but
Good
but
personality.
good personality. I mean, for me, personality is is one of the things I look for, but it's not. It's an essential, but it's not. For me, it's like, can we vibe? Can we obviously get money together? Can we, or not even get money together, but can we be comfortable enough to where it's like, if I got this, I'm not tripping.
Mm.
If you want to do something for me, that's cool. I'm gonna do something in return. You know, like not even because I have to, but because I want to. That's something I want to do for you. You know,
Right.
um, and just, you know, just kind of. I love when, obviously when we love when people can make us smile, but when we have that person, or are thinking about someone that, you know, we maybe want to eventually, you know, start something with, whether it's a friendship, relationship, you know, so forth. It's when you find someone that motivates you like that, it kind of, it lifts your spirit a little bit. It
Mm.
makes you want to, it just makes you want to be a better version of you. You know,
Makes you
it's a little
motivated.
cliche. It's a little cliche, but it's motivation to, it's like we, you know, like your brand goes self love all the time. You know, it gives you motivation to, you know, hey, maybe if I'm lacking in some place, like maybe I can get my hair cut more, or I could go to the gym a little more, and, you know, spend a little bit more on shoes or something like that. You know, anything that'll benefit us to where we'll feel more comfortable, and, you know, like, hey, you know, this person's gonna like me for who I am. Like, you know, if I'm dressed good, it's a plus, but it's
Mm.
not something that is gonna play a factor in this situation that we're trying to get in.
Oh, dude. Honestly, I feel like it's always okay to, find that right person to make you feel the best way you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, do you, I have my own opinion on this, but do you believe it's okay to have standards? Like to have that ideal significant other?
It's
Or is that being too picky?
honestly, it's. I feel like personally, it's okay, because the way I think about it is, growing up, you know, whether it's our families, schools, you know, basketball teams, whatever, so be it. We're gonna have standards set for us regardless. Like for me, you know, I grew up with 8 other siblings, and
It's a
there
lot
was
of siblings,
always,
by the way,
it
mate.
is, you know, and most of the time, like, you know, me, my brothers, you know, my sisters that played basketball, it's, you know, are we gonna be as good as our oldest brother? You know, what can we do to get as good as him, or what
Mm.
can we do, you know, to be as good or even better, you know,
Were you
succeed.
okay with those comparisons? Like, did that like bring a sense of hate? Hate's a strong word, but did that bring a sense of like, a little bit of anger for you that like, Your parents kind of wanted to compare you to your oldest sibling and like tell them that you
I
should
mean,
be like this.
as far as sports goes, no. I
Sports is
mean,
okay.
it was mainly just that was the only time really they made comparisons
Okay, that's good.
is when it came to sports. But it was good motivation because for me, we grew up going and watching my brother's games, and Alameda when he played at St. Pat's, and it was just like, man, it's like he just looks like he's having fun, and it's growing up, obviously everyone, basketball was in the family,
Hmm.
and it was fun trying to it was fun comparing, like, hey, I had more points than him when he was in middle school at this point, or this and that. Like, for me, it was never really the case. I would just, you know, he was my model because he was the prototypical big man for a Filipino.
Mm.
Not too tall, not too short, but he was playing center for a high school team, and that's not something that everyone can really, do a lot.
Yeah,
And
especially as
it's
a
just,
Filipino.
yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
So it was just, me. I mean, I was always taller growing up. I'm like 6'1", 6'2" right now,
Yeah, you're
but
pretty
I
tall, man.
always probably always the tallest, if not second tallest in my class. And it was just like, you know, I obviously looked up to people in the NBA, but it's like it was easier to have motivation because there was someone closer to home I can look up to rather than
Mm.
someone I watch on TV and can't really interact with.
I see. Did you ever have dreams of becoming pro, or was it always just fun for you?
I mean, obviously, I feel like everyone does. I
Yeah.
mean, it was at first I really did, and it was stunted by football because I mean,
Because you wouldn't know which one to like
yeah,
hop on
really
more.
focus on, yeah. So I mean, I went to a football camp in middle school, at St. Pat's, and my dad forced me, and the coaches there all knew my older brother, and they were like, "What high school you going to? This and that. You can come here, play football, da da da." But for me, I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this shit at all. Like, I don't even know why my dad got me here. I'm just here. I mean, I'm just here because he made me,
Mm.
and because for me, it was basketball all day, every day. I was playing. If I wasn't in a church league, I was playing AAU. If I wasn't AAU, I was training, and I just, as I started to get bigger, I started to put on more weight, basically. And when, in football, basically, there's always, team dinners, this and that, snacks at the game before and after. And I noticed that I had a talent for football
Mm.
that I never really wanted to tap into.
Yeah. So
You
you had the
know,
talent for football, but more of a love for basketball.
yeah.
I
And,
could see the situation you're in here.
so I mean, I did it. I ended up playing basketball and football at Salesian, and transferred to Hercules, and there they knew me as the Salesian kid, like this kid's gonna play right away, this and that, and I mean, I was fine with it. I mean, when I first got there as a sophomore, I was on varsity, but I never played.
Mm.
So it's like, why are you selling me these fake dreams? But it's because coaches are gonna feel the way they feel. Rest in peace to my high school coach, by the way. And but yeah, that happened, and I would go to basketball. I would go play basketball at 24-hour fitness sometimes before our carb nights or after, late night after our football practices. And I got a real reality check my junior year because our defensive coordinator, he subbed for our PE class one day, and he pulled me to the side, and he made me cry angry tears because we were talking, and he was just basically saying, like, you're putting your energy into the wrong thing. He
Like
was
into
like,
the
I
wrong
know you
sport.
love hooping, but you can have a future in this. And it's
But who
like,
is he to tell you what you can and can't do?
exactly,
You know.
at first that's how I thought, and it's like, you're right. It's kind of, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do with myself? Like, I mean, at that time I was hitting a slump whenever I was playing basketball, coming from football practice, so on. Just because it's like, it's a lot of people can juggle that, but for me it was I really really had to pick one to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't stop playing basketball, bro. So it would always put me like in a dilemma. And
Definitely.
So, when we had that, me and that coach had a conversation, I didn't like what he said to me, but, it hit home just because it's like, it's, you know, obviously besides the extracurricular things we got into in high school as far, smoking, drinking, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's him basically just wanting me to have a better future for myself, but saying it in a way he knew how. Only he knew how.
Mm-hmm.
He probably could have said it in a better way, and we had a better talk after that, kind of, just to clear the air about that. But it was eye opening, just because it's like, maybe, hey, it's, I love basketball, but maybe like I could have a better future in football.
Oh yeah, I definitely believe like everyone is definitely entitled to their own opinions, and I believe in uh looking at both sides of every story, So yeah, although I'm on more on the side like, who is he to tell you what you should or shouldn't do? Maybe in a sense, yeah, he like how he feels is also valid. Maybe what he's speaking is facts. Maybe you
Hmm.
truly did have a talent
Yeah, and
for
that's him,
football
and
that
that's him seeing the
like no other.
potential in me, and that's me. For me, I was just trying to avoid it, just because it's like
'Cause you
I
love
knew I knew I
basketball.
was good at I knew I was good at football, bro. Like, not to be cocky, but it's just like I knew it. It was something that came natural, and if I put a little effort into it, I could do whatever I wanted with it.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, like I got invited to the junior. I don't know if it was junior or like Teen USA camp, basically, where it's you try out, and then if you make the team, you go to Texas and you play basically people from California, so on and so forth, against people from Texas and
Mm-hmm.
other outside states,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't. I went to the tryout, but I didn't. Honestly, like I said, I didn't really try because
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah, I know.
Like, but I mean, we had
What was your position, by the way?
just offensive line.
Offensive line.
I mainly played just because I was one of the tallest. I played either side guard or either tackle
Mm.
because one of my best friends that I would talk about, he was 6'4", so if he was on one side, I was on the other.
I see.
Or if one of our other teammates was in the game, I'm playing next to my buddy and all that. So honestly, bro, I had interest. Nevada came to our school once, our senior year, and he went to my coach and told my coach, hey, pick your 5 best players. I was number 4,
Mm.
but so he's going down the
That speaks
list.
for itself, man.
Yeah,
You're good at the sport.
he's going down the list. He looks at number 1. He's like, okay, cool. Number 2, maybe. Number 3, he's good, but he doesn't have grades. And it was the same situation for me.
Mm.
For
Oh, grades were
it played a big
factor.
factor. I'm not going to speak too much about it because I don't know if I can get in trouble for it. But there was a situation my freshman year that led to me having to basically go to summer school.
Mm.
I didn't get to graduate with my class, basically, my senior year.
Really?
Yeah,
No way.
because of that certain situation.
Hey, I
But
almost didn't graduate either, bro.
yeah. So that coach came in and said, "Give me your 5 best people." I was number 4. As soon as because that's the main thing with colleges and basically school in general is you need grades to get to where you want to go. And I couldn't qualify. I didn't take the certain classes that I needed or didn't finish them. So basically, the alternative route was junior college, and that's when I was getting a lot of interest from Laney College. Yeah, man, they came to a few of my games, and for me, it was kind of crazy because it's a junior college, giving you interest. It's like, these people, they're not playing on TV. They're not, they can't pay for you because, at that time, when you couldn't get paid for endorsements or accept money from people, accept loans from people
Mm.
as far as the NCAA was concerned. But,
Yeah, that's
they,
crazy. They switched it up recently too, right? Like now you can,
you can,
have a
you
brand
can,
while
bro,
you're
like
in
Mikey
college.
Williams, is one of the youngest, highest paid stars.
He
And
is a
he's
star.
not even in the league, or he's still in high school, bro. He signed $1 million deal with some company. And it was just, and that's, that just plays into when you put your effort into something, that's you reap the benefits. You know, however much you put in is how much you get out.
Of course. And that's like life too.
Mm-hmm.
You put in the effort, you put in the work, the more success you'll see.
Yep, exactly. And you know, like I said, you know, those coaches were watching me. They're, you know, hitting up my phone every day, inviting me to workouts. You know, they even picked me up a couple times.
Mm.
You know, coming from Antioch to this was when I was living. They came to Hercules from Antioch, and then we would go to Oakland, back to Hercules, and my coach would go home because he lived in Antioch.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, bro, like people are actually doing this, and it's like they're serious about this shit. And it was like, you know, I could have ended up on Netflix,
Really?
you know, because they were on the Last Chance U thing. But
That's
yeah.
crazy. So you saw yourself getting all these, like,
It wasn't anything crazy, but I had, when that coach visited to my high school, he was like, pick some schools you want to go to. And for me, I always wanted to go to Fresno State just because, one, that's where my older brother lived, and second, they're just a really good football program in general. And then, so we're doing that summer practice that year, and it's like, the next day, the Fresno coach is at the school. And it's like, sometimes connections do run really deep.
oh, dude, the more connections you have, the more far you'll go, in my opinion. I feel like connections is a huge, it's a huge role in your life. The more people, the more people you know, the further you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
As cliche as it sounds.
No, you're not lying.
But is there any? Actually, I want to ask you one more thing. We are about to wrap up the podcast. I would definitely love to have you on again if there's more you want to.
Anytime we're available for not at work, I'm with it.
Yeah. Last question, just to wrap up the podcast. We are at our hour mark. If millions of people were watching this specific podcast right now, right? Watching, listening, however you want to go about it, what would you have to say? Is there any enlightenment you would want to speak for the people watching?
I guess one thing would be is to keep an open mind when you watch this podcast. And sometimes a lot of people would say that, sometimes they won't. But this one specifically, we touch on different bases. This is my first time kind of even in a podcast situation at all. And it was a little scary at first, but then, just talking up, being able to keep an open mind and talk about different things, and no matter what they are, and being able to switch back and forth. It's almost like reading a book, but listening to an audio book,
Yeah.
because you can listen to a podcast while you're at work, while you're at home, while you're at the gym. And especially with with the things that are talked about on the SlattCast, it's the good thing about it is you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can talk about literally anything, and any topic we can back up with as much information as we can.
Of course. At the end of the day, we're just being ourselves.
Yeah, and it's we can't ask for any more.
Yeah. I love that. Keeping an open mind, being optimistic, and yeah, just being able to relate as much as possible,
Yeah.
I believe that everyone I have in front of me, there's always going to be those common grounds. There's always going to be something you'll be able to, relate to each other on.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, yeah, thanks so much for hopping on. I really liked this one. I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
It was fun to have you on. I'm glad, you said it was a little like scary at 1st, but I'm glad I'm pretty like hopefully it eased,
Yeah, obviously. Yeah,
going on.
of course.
So that makes me happy. It makes me feel like that the person I'm talking to could easily get comfortable talking to me, and that's how I want everyone to feel around me. So shout out to Jeremy for hopping on today's podcast, y'all. I almost forgot to mention. Shout out the merch if you haven't, or if you peeped. Slat Aces or www.slataces.com. Support the movement, y'all. It's the number one self love all the time podcast in the world. And that about wraps things up. If you guys stay tuned throughout the whole podcast, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, because all of my podcasts are strictly on YouTube for now. Subscribe to my or follow my TikTok. You could find clips of my podcast on there. And yeah, that's about it. It's been your boy Slat Aces.
Yes,
Call me
sir.
Matt Mancole if you want to be close with me.
Man, call man.
And it's been your boy.
Yes, sir. _ Chef Jeremy on Instagram.
Let him know,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
And we out. Self love all the time. Peace it.
That was fun.